And welcome in to Football Happy Hour presented by Blitzalytics.com. As per the usual, I'll be your host. That's me, cartoon down there, bottom left-hand corner. You see it. Always rocking that Rams gear as long as we are winning. You see him up above me, Mr. Bushy, Jack Bourgeois. How you doing, Jack?
I couldn't be better. Couldn't be better.
Oh, yeah, he's a Bucks fan, guys. He's doing just fine. Over there to my side is Mr. Countryman, the Steelers fan, so I assume you're also doing fine, right?
Hey, we just got another dub in the column. We don't care if it's a missed field goal. We're the only undefeated at this point.
A win is a win is a win. And us
That's
three
right.
know about that. Cody, I'm sorry, you have Phillip Rivers, but are you still doing okay tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good. We're 4-2, coming off the bye week. We got the Lions this week, and let's talk about this too. I think the Buffalo Bills need to cut us a check because they only win when all four of us are together on a Tuesday. So
Ooh.
at least the team of Happy Hour finally got back on track against those lowly Jets this week.
I'll
I
take
don't know
some
if
of
they're
that
back
mafia
on
money.
track just yet.
Well, you know, they are now because the band is back together, guys. Good to have
Hey,
everybody here tonight.
And nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills.
Bills Mafia in the house, dude. Yes. Destroy those tables for Thanksgiving, Bills Mafia.
Yeah, but I think they skidded off the rails just past the Jets for a win. That's
Well,
the way I would.
that's everybody's story, right? You can skid off the rails past the Jets, you got to win. We're going to do it like we do every week. We're going to hit you with 4 quarters, 4 topics, and then we're also going to give you a little overtime because who doesn't like just a little extra time with the homies? So let's go ahead and get this thing started. And in the first quarter this week, we are going to jump into the 3 and out portion of the show. 3 takeaways from the week per person. Top takes overall gets discussed. So here's what I'll do. I'm not going to add a lot to this conversation. The one thing I learned this week is football is great. How many games came down to the wire? If I had fingernails to begin with, they would be gone. What an excellent week of football. Just so many stellar endings. So I know this. Football is great. Let's go around the horn and get some deeper dives from people who know a little bit more than I. Jack, I'm going to start with you. What's something you learned this week?
Something that the masses learned this week that I've been saying this entire time is that the Seahawks are not as good as everybody has believed. The worst defense in the league, or one of the worst defenses in the league. There's some historically bad defenses, but as of right now, they're on a historically bad pace. Can't get any pressure, and they finally lose to the first team that they play that is not a one-win team. So they have had they're undefeated against one-win teams, put it that way. They are not who we think they are. So I'm happy to see that, especially as a Bucs fan, after the Bucs came rolling through the Las Vegas Raiders. Makes me feel good to know.
As it should, my friend.
They didn't deserve it.
Huh?
I said they didn't deserve to lose. I have my fair share about the Cardinals. Everybody's not talking about how Cliff Kingsbury settled for a 41-yard field goal on second down. Everybody's kind of glossing over that fact, but a win's a win, I guess.
Cody sounds heated. I love it, dude.
No, it's just funny to me when people like forget terrible coaching errors just because they won the game. Like there's no reason for what's his name to hold on that DK touchdown. Like the Seahawks should have won that game.
Oh, for sure. But that shows how bad the Seahawks actually are that they didn't beat the Cardinals. Like the Cardinals gave them every chance to win that game, and then I was very shocked that the Cardinals actually did pull that one out. But I'm just saying,
No, I think
Seahawks aren't as good. Cardinals aren't as good as their record either. They have several holes, and their defense is hurting after the loss of Chandler Jones.
I'm not even sure it's that
Peterson's
they're
looking
not as
old.
good. I think it's that we saw somebody exploit them, right? What we knew was exploitable got exploited, and that's what leads to losses for a team with holes. Not everybody can be Tampa Bay or Kansas City, so you have holes. Cody, I come to you now. What's something you learned this week, man?
That there's almost like 50-50 parity. I don't know if parity is the right word. There's like 50% of the league is solid, competing for the playoffs, and then 50% of the league is terrible. There is 14 teams with a record underneath 500 right now. Don't count in the Jets because they haven't won a game. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams with 1 win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams with 2 wins, and we have no clue how the top 10 of the NFL drafts is going to unfold. Because one team could be picking 4th or 3rd this week, and then by the end of this week's games, they could be picking 14 or 15.
Or the NFC East, where you could go from picking top 5 to it's number 15 at best,
winning the division.
Yeah, right. And then you're just like, wow, that happened. So no, yeah, absolutely. A lot of shat teams out there. I reference again you, NFC East. So, countryman, let me come to you, man. What's something that you learned this week?
Oh, man, I learned lots of stuff, Rob. I'm glad to be back with you guys after battling some illness last week. Thanks for holding down the forts,
yeah,
fellas.
Glad to have the unicorn back.
Man.
Yeah. But, boy, this is kind of going off track, but Buddha, man, you got to cut at the 20-yard line and go right.
How did
you
he
go
catch
laterally.
my ass? That's my favorite quote from the season so far.
We know DK can run a straight line. Just cut to the right, man.
That was insane.
That's not my point. I had to throw it out there. Come on, Buddha. My Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like beating their own drum sometimes, but my Pittsburgh Steelers undefeated right now, looking like a powerhouse in the AFC. Whenever they stomp the Ravens this week by 10, then we'll be able to turn Jack Bourgeois' mind from putting that Kansas City Chiefs at the number 1 slot.
I'm not against it. I'm not against the idea. I'm this close to being a believer. I'm not 100% on board yet.
The Blitz breakdown says they are not number 1, but they're number 1 in my heart, I guess.
Hey, they're number 1 on my power rankings today.
I'm just saying. I told Jack many moon ago they were going to win this division. So I'm resting on my laurels. Speaking of Jack, I come to you. What's something else you learned this week, sir?
The AFC is 2 is for the taking if the Bills or the Patriots cannot get it together. I think if the Bills have played the Miami Dolphins over the last couple of weeks, they would have lost. With Fitz, I don't even know what 2 is going to be, but he was a darn good college quarterback, and I think it's going to translate. We all expect it to translate. So who would have thought that the Miami Dolphins would be the team right now, riding a heater, coming off a bye week, and going into Tua's first game? I didn't expect them to actually be in contention for another terrible division. The Bills should get this on track sooner or later. Like, they're way too good not to. Allen's been off for as hot as Allen was. He's been equally ice cold over the last couple weeks, and it has not been looking good for him. The whole offense just kind of seems out of rhythm. They can't get the run game going. There's way too many excuses for this offense as to why they aren't, but they were just clicking just a few weeks ago, and they've missed several opportunities over the last couple weeks to put points up on the board. Critical points. The fact they couldn't even get in the end zone against the Jets is embarrassing. So sorry to worry about.
They shot themselves in the foot a lot in that game.
They did.
Because he threw that 1 touchdown to Gabriel Davis and to Cole Beasley, and both got called back on a penalty.
Yeah, for sure. The Bills, on paper, the best team in the division, but on paper doesn't always win. And again, it is up in the air right now in that AFC East. So, Cody, I come to you. What's the next thing you learned this week, brother?
Dude, letting teams score touchdowns is the way to go. Look at that Lions. Look at that Lions.
The greatest picture ever.
Yeah, I can't believe that because I'm sitting there watching. I mean, everybody wasn't that like the last maybe game left over? So I think it was obviously everybody was watching it if you're on NFL Red Zone. But yeah, how crazy was that? Like, because I think the announcers were talking about it, and then like it happens, and you see Todd right there, like kind of like trying to pull back, and then like whoever I think it was Jamie Collins had him. He kind of like lets go, and then you see like all these Lions guys like throwing touchdowns. Signal it. Like if you show somebody like 5 years from now that doesn't remember that game, they'll be so confused by that photo. I just thought that was hilarious. Legend. And just the fact that it pulled it off. It'd be one thing, if like they went out and they, either went flat or Stafford threw a pick trying to be aggressive. But the fact that they just marched down the field with no timeouts and it worked, like you always hear people talk about it, like let them score so you can get the ball back. And it was just kind of cool to see. Yeah, it was cool to see it play out And of course, it would be the Falcons out of all teams
Of
that would play out again.
course. What is it?
And
3
one last-
times?
One last caveat, Todd Gurley said he was he was hurt that he fell in, but at the end of the day, like somebody pointed out, I forget who it was, he has I think a $500,000 bonus to get the 13 touchdowns. So if I'm Todd Gurley, I'm like, sucky Falcons team, my coach is already fired, or a $500,000 bonus.
Get that bag, buddy. You get that
Cha-ching.
bag. And I'll tell you what. Thank you, Todd Gurley. My fantasy team appreciates those 6 points. I'll take them every day of the
Isn't
week.
it the Falcons, though, are like the first team in NFL history now to have three losses
wins
after
at
like a 90% win probability?
95% win
Sure.
probability.
Wow.
Yeah, insane. So, Roy, let's come to you. What'd you learn, man? What's the second take?
Hey, I'm just going to keep banging this drum. The New England Patriots, it's wonderful to see laundered laundry, the one with the faded colors, finally getting ready to be tossed into the garbage. Cam Newton looked terrible. A lot of these guys are looking old, just out of sync. Belichick, I mean, he's still putting in the effort, but Newton looked bad. Julian Edelman doesn't look like he can separate hardly. He looks old and broken down. It's nice to see. But New England Patriots, the AFC East, I think you're closer to a top 5 pick than you are where you're sitting at right now.
Oh, baby, your grandpa's Patriots are back. That's my favorite. I love it. If you're a Patriots fan, welcome to normal fandom. Welcome to reality. Welcome to the gut check that is a normal football team for the first time in 2 decades. It feels so, so good. Jack, I come to you. Let's finish you up. What's the third thing you're going to take away from this week?
Can I shit on the Patriots a little bit too?
Please do.
Sure.
There's always
'cause,
time for that.
It feels so good. It just feels so good for them to know what it feels like I've always wanted them to just know what it feels like to be a normal football fan. So it just brings joy to my heart. Normally, you should never celebrate anyone else's losses except when they are the Dallas Cowboys or they are the New England Patriots. New England Patriots especially. Like, I definitely am not rooting rooting for Dak to get injured or for Dalton to get injured. I just don't like their franchise, but specifically the Patriots. And the fact that the Bucs had just like a slight hand in this happening is like the icing on the cake. But if there is something that I do have to talk about, it is kind of in relation to this whole situation. The Bucs are about to walk into the Super Bowl. They are going to definitely be walking through teams come playoff time with the addition of Antonio Brown. And from a Steelers fan over here to I know you and me have talked about AB several times on the Blitz Breakdown. I can't believe he's on the Bucs, and can we all agree that this is not the most talented offensive weaponry we've ever seen, and that it shouldn't fail, it should work as long as AB just shuts his mouth and puts his head down and works. This is going to be the greatest offense of all time, right?
It feels like a Madden roster.
I can't make that team on Madden. It won't let you.
Yeah, it's
you
a
have
glitch.
to cheat for that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. On paper, I've never seen a scarier offense. And if they hit their peak, watch the hell out. There's no question there. So, Cody, let me pivot to you, man. What's the last thing you want to say you learned this week?
Before I even say that about those Bucs, how does it feel, Jack, in less than a span of the year, you guys went from pitiful to lovable to despicable? So that's all I got to say about that. Because if you think these go what speakers go ahead. I'm not saying I hate the move. I'm just saying literally I saw the shift when this news got announced on Twitter where people were just like, I'm rooting against the team. Our own boy Mike Tanier is all against your Bucs right now. Our sick the football guys are against the Bucs right now. It's mainly because of AB's off-field issues. But
yeah, and that I completely understand. You shouldn't. You want to be bringing a person in. Nothing's. The court hasn't happened yet. We don't know, but from the NFL standpoint, there's no evidence to hold him down or hold him out for any longer now. Again, I didn't really. I don't think we need it. I think the Bucks will be just fine. But who knows if Godwin's now having surgery on his broken thumb, broken finger. Who knows what these lingering injuries could look like in 6-8 weeks? So, I
Do
mean,
you
this
guys
is
remember
the
when the
Super Bowl
OBJ?
insurance policy.
Do you remember when the OBJ versus Mike Evans thing mattered? It no longer matters. It
Now
no
it's
longer
who is
matters.
more injured, Mike
Yeah,
Evans
right.
or OBJ?
So Mayo, tell me what you learned, bro.
It's definitely OBJ.
I'll be really quick because I see the time going down. I know Roy's got to, I think, get to his last point. It'll be really quick. This name will pop up probably in the next quarter. Get J.J. Watt out of Houston. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that press conference? I've never seen him that angry. He looks like he's over the Houston experience. We've been talking about this for a month now since Bill O'Brien got fired. He's up in his age. He has a strong injury history over the recent years. Let's get him on a contender to finish his career.
And let's be honest, he don't need the shit. He has ultimate tags. So, Countryman, whenever you're ready, brother.
Hey, let's bring the third Watt home to Pittsburgh. I'll take it. To me, the Washington football team may just be the best team in that sad NFC East. That defense that they have built out there, I know they lost Landon Collins with the Achilles injury, but if we can have some competent quarterback play, Alex Smith, looking at you maybe, because Kyle Allen, you're not a playoff caliber quarterback, but they got some weapons. Antonio Gibson put up a nice week. Terry McLaurin is a second-year beast at receiver. They have our boy Gandy Golden. Logan Thomas has really turned it on. Washington football team, if they can get some energy put together here and some experience, that defense is legit. You might see it come if they get some health back to winning football in the NFC East there.
Yeah, NFC East version of winning football, which is just above 500. Yeah, barely below 500 at this point. Who knows? All right, well,
a week later, real quick, do you want to rescind that Giants to the playoffs? Take their mail?
You obviously don't follow me on Twitter.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I knew he was rescinding that the moment Danny Dimes fell on that 90-yard run. It was like as soon as he fell, Cody was like, "Nah, never mind."
We all know he got tackled.
I spoke the truth. They got the defense. They almost won. That's all. But yeah, as soon as they lost, it's over.
Hey, everybody's saying he tackled himself. You didn't see the 12th defender? It was Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa buried under the stadium, guys. So, all right, let's move it on in to quarter number 2, where we are going to be talking about trades or free agent signings, player movement, we'll say, with Le'Veon Bell being signed by the Chiefs, AB, as you just heard Jack say, becoming a Tampa Bay Buck. It seems like everyone's loading up on talent to make this deep playoff run. So let's go through some potential targets, some things these guys think should happen. And since we started last segment with Jack, Cody, I'll start you this time here. Do you have a potential trade or free agent signing that a contender should make?
Yeah, so I do apologize if I take anybody's, because for whatever reason the script's freezing up on me. I don't know if we got too much stuff in there, but I'm gonna go ahead. I think I saw Roy listed J.J. Watt to a place I already don't want to mention because I have that same idea. So I'm gonna go with Anthony Harris, the Vikings safety. He's on a franchise tag. Obviously, they're kind of selling house. There's no point of paying him that money. And then speaking of the Washington football team, who might have a shot to win their division and host the Bears on Wild Card Weekend and beat them, is what's his name? Landon Collins, their safety, is done for the year with a torn Achilles. So they have a opening spot for the safety position. Now, those two players are completely different styles of safety play. But if they do, see that opportunity that, Ron Rivera said he saw when he made the switch to Kyle Allen, that's the type of move I could see them doing.
Not mad at it. Countryman, give me something.
Yeah, for me, this is I'm going hometown pick here. I'm going with my Pittsburgh Steelers. The one area in our defense that we have been shaky is at cornerback play. Stephon Gilmore, come on down to Pittsburgh. We're going to put you in as our number 1 corner and let Hayden slide into the number 2 cornerback position.
I'm not mad at that, because that offers a trifecta when all are playing at their peak with him, Hayden, and Minka. You don't want that, especially with that front coming at you. Yeah, that makes Pittsburgh extra scary. Go ahead, Cody. You broke up, man.
Can teams afford that? Stephon
Hey,
Gilmore?
hey, look,
Hey,
man.
or
We
yeah,
all know
it's
it's a myth. Just a damn
all
myth.
right.
That's all it is.
Yep. We flip him back to Steven Nelson and maybe a 3 because Steven Nelson is under contract for another year.
There we
I
go.
got
That
Paul
sounds like it'll
Caliper.
work. Jack, give me one.
I'm just thinking about it. That would be a really good one. I mean, that would be a damn good counterpunch to the AB signing.
But
for
do
sure.
would the Patriots trade with the Steelers? Like, they hate each other. Let's be real.
Picks are picks, and if they want
That's
to
true.
more cap space for a rebuild,
If it
That's
helps,
true.
if it helps each team, then you would get better. You'd swallow your pride and get better.
There you go.
There's a couple I want to bring up. I want to bring up one of Roy's because of how much I liked it. I did throw out there that New Orleans Saints should trade Jameis Winston to the Dallas Cowboys for anything that those suckers are willing to give up. If it's a ham sandwich or if it's anything, they could probably use the Jameis Winston right now. I don't know how long Andy Dalton's going to be out for. I'm sure they're just going to chalk it up. But like
Bro.
a few of these teams are like a player away. As sad as that is, that like any of these teams in the NFC East are a player away from winning a division. And do you not think that like the offense that Jameis Winston alone creates like would not equal a win or two for the Dallas Cowboys? And like apparently all you need is another win or 2 or 3 to win this division.
I
how
get
bad
it. If I get it, and that's assuming that Jerry wants to win, which I do not. I threw this out. I think Jerry is in the Trevor Lawrence mode right now.
Yep.
And I think the only way he doesn't get him is if New York Giants end up with the number 1 pick. Other than that, Jerry's going to have a horrible record, pay the picks, go up, take Trevor, and be done with Dak. So I don't think they make a move. But if they do want to, I like Jameis in Dallas with all the weaponry. Like, he's chucking balls.
And what a better way to bring Dabo into the NFL.
Absolutely. I think it's a coup d'etat. You're looking at Jerry making big moves for that this offseason. So, but again, if they are trying to win, I'm with you. That you throw Jameis down there with CD and Gallup and Cooper and Zeke, and you're talking about fantasy studs. Like I would, as a fantasy guy, I'd love that. But Cody, do you got another trade you want to throw out, man? I know you're having problems with the script, so if you need to, we can skip back to Roy.
It's all good. Yeah, so any edge rusher to my Colts, please. Justin Houston is a little bit older. He's kind of inconsistent. Kimiko Toure, I love him as a prospect, but it sounds like he's still 2 weeks away from his gruesome ankle injury he had last year. And Ben Bonagu, or if I probably butchered his name, hasn't shown, I don't even know how many snaps he's getting at this point. I like Al-Qaheem Muhammad. He's got a good motor to him, but they need a consistent edge rusher to go pair with DeForest Buckner, and they would really even be a much better defense. So, whether it's Carlos Dunlap, a veteran like that, or anybody that's available. I saw somebody throw Alden Smith on there. I wouldn't mind that as well. I saw his name. Somebody listed him. So any edge rusher for the Colts would be nice right now, or maybe a receiving threat.
Yeah, I could see both of those to try and make that playoff push as well. We got Mama Countryman in the chat already. You know it's a good episode when that happens, making fun of Roy's head. It is rather large. I'll secondary you on that. So speaking of un grande cabeza, Senor Countryman, throw us out another trade, my friend.
So Cody was throwing out Alden Smith there. I would love to see him on the Tennessee defense. Given some edge rush presence with Jeffrey Simmons on the inside, that freak athlete. He's a 1-on-1 year deal with Dallas. Why not let him go down there and eat in a playoff situation? Reward him for his hard work getting back straight.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. There's a lot on this list. If you guys notice me kind of chugging through this, these guys have a lot of good ones, so I'm going to try and get through as many as we can. So, Jack, you got another one you want to highlight here?
Yeah, I do think that the Las Vegas Raiders definitely need interior pressure and interior help. There's rumors coming through the pipeline that Quentin Williams from the Jets is available and possibly even for a second-round pick, with him having a downright awful season in comparison to where he was drafted last year. This year's been a lot better, a lot better, but they're trying to get any picks they possibly can for him. Raiders still wouldn't have to pay him for 2-3 more years. I think it would definitely behoove them and be worth a second round pick for them to try and go get some interior help.
No, I'm with you on that one as well. Now, before I go ahead, Cody.
No, speaking of Quentin Williams, I don't think he'll get moved from what I'm hearing. But if you're talking about spots, the Cardinals, man, he should go there. That'd be a great landing spot for him. I think he would help make up for that loss of Chandler Jones. And then Jordan Phillips is hurt. I think another D tackle got hurt in that. Is it Kerr or Allen? Zach Allen.
Zach
right?
Allen.
Yeah.
He just went on IR today. So
I would like it if you guys would stop sending people to my NFC West. That's what I would like. No more, okay? I'm trying to win this freaking division. Before we go to you, Cody, for another trade, I want to bring up one and get some feelers. I want to see Buffalo move on a tight end. I'd like to see them go get Zach Ertz one, and if not Zach Ertz, go rescue David Njoku, who's just, to me, an athletic freak just wallowing away there in Cleveland. So, what do you guys think about tight end to the Bills?
Yeah, I know.
Needed place.
Cody brought that up last week about Zach Ertz to Buffalo. I think that would be a perfect security blanket. Then literally Josh Allen has no excuse not to succeed. Obviously, like the offensive line can get better, the run game can get better, but from a passing standpoint and a weapon standpoint, he literally has every flavor of ice cream you could ever want. Like he has all 32 flavors from Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, he's loaded up and set up for success then. So, Mayo, let's come to you for another one. You got one on the brain?
Yeah, so we were talking about Antonio Brown earlier, and obviously there's teams that need wide receiver. I don't think Seattle, I'm with what Jack was saying months ago. I was just kind of on the Antonio Brown to Seahawks train. They don't really need him, but Schefter said this team actually sniffed around him, but it sounded like he was dead set on joining Tampa Bay. But it's the Green Bay Packers, so the Packers realize they need a wide receiver to complement Devontae Adams. So I just would like to see them maybe go get one of those Texans wide receivers, whether it's Kenny Stills, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, any of them, and to bring them up to Green Bay to make that push. And obviously you need to do that now with AB on the Bucs.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And I know I saw a lot on Twitter about people with big dreams about Julio to Green Bay, and they're not coming off of Julio. I didn't think as much fun as Rodgers to Julio would be. I don't think Atlanta's really coming off of him. So, Roy, you got another one you want to highlight?
I got an underrated one. I'm gonna throw you a bone, Rob. It's for your Rams. You need some edge help. Go call Cincinnati for Carl Lawson. You look on snap per snap basis since he's came in the league. He missed 1 year due to a knee injury. He's one of the best pass rushers by a snap count per snap ratio. He is great speed rusher, outstanding. You could probably get him for a late round pick because he's on the last year of his deal on his rookie contract. Exactly the type of a deal to work into your guys' salary cap. So Carl Lawson from Cincinnati would be an added pressure edge rusher for you guys.
I'll take it, but I want J.J. Watt because my wife said that if J.J. signs with the Rams that she'll be a Rams fan, so I need that in my life. But, no, again, Lawson would be a fine addition as well. Jack, I come to you again, sir. We got about 4 minutes left, so you can even do a deeper dive if you want on one.
Well, I'm gonna pick on one of Roy's that I loved just so much. Frank Gore back to the Niners. They should go save him from New York. They should bring him back in. They need running back help. As much as I'm on this JaMychal Hasty train, and I can't wait to see him get going this weekend, I think Frank Gore coming back home would be a beautiful thing. So whatever they got to do to make that happen, I mean, it would be it's perfect. It is a perfect situation for him to make a full circle back to his career. It's literally like it's what Disney stories are made of.
That's as soon as I thought of that, Jack, I thought of you, and I'm like, he can have just a little bit of the taste of like the Jerome Bettis, like you send off from home. Like you just let him go back to where it started. You know, one of the all-time greats going back to a situation where they're all beat up. Even if they get some of the running backs back, like Mostert, he's not going to have a problem being a backup. I mean, he signed on to be a backup with Le'Veon Bell. But, in the playoffs, he's going to wind up getting a couple carries in key situations, and he's going to come through for you.
I'm all for Frank Gore. I want Frank Gore to play until the wheels fall off, like forever. That's definitely what I'm into. Mayo, you got another one? Let me ask you a specific one, man. We've been talking a lot about the Seahawks, a lot about having no pass rusher. What is it? Jamal Adams missed a game, still has the most pressures and sacks. So they have nothing. Give me a couple of names that maybe we haven't talked about that you could see maybe making a push here for those Seahawks, because obviously it reared its head against the Cardinals.
Oh, man, with Everson Griffin being traded today, that kind of hurts the name that immediately comes to mind for an edge rusher. Man, I'm trying to think who it might be, who might be available throughout the league.
Carlos Dunlap, maybe.
Dunlap. I mean, I've been pushing that for 3 weeks. I think I mentioned that on Cody Talks NFL.
Melvin Ingram.
That's the name. Yes, Melvin Ingram.
They don't have the capital, like for a Melvin Ingram.
What do you mean?
He's a free agent after the year, so it'd be
it would be maybe a 3rd round pick at best, and because that will probably be what they would get back on a comp. So, but again, that's if the Chargers want to move on from Melvin Ingram, because I mean, I know they're 2-4, but they're like we talked about on the first quarter. It's a lot of bad teams right now,
and they're honestly only a handful of bad plays away from being in contention, not games. Like they were in 3 straight games that they lost. So
I think for him though, the writing's on the wall because Uchenna Nwosu has been he's being involved into that position almost like an early career Melvin Ingram. In that Leo type, can be played all over. Love Uchenna Nwosu, and Ingram just always seems to be nicked. Like that'd be the perfect piece. You know how Seattle likes using versatile pieces on the defensive line. He could stand up, hand in the dirt, whatever they need them to do, run inside, 3 technique type. He could do a little bit of it all. Carlos Dunlap, I could see him maybe being interested because of the length. Maybe being a pure base defensive end, but I think the versatility, they would kind of look into that section more.
Cody, let me ask you about one here that was brought up by, I believe, Roy. Yeah, Roy says, for your Colts to call the Bengals, get Phillip Rivers a new target, bring A.J. Green up to Indy. What would you think of that?
If he played like he did last week, but if he played like he did in the previous weeks, no. But yeah, I mean, we definitely need it. I mean, Michael Pittman should be returning, I think, here in the next week or so. But yeah, I could see it. I don't think Chris Ballard will never make a move like that.
Let's go around the horn. We got 10 seconds. Just give me the biggest name you think that gets moved, Jack.
I do think Julio Jones might get moved.
Mayo, biggest name that could get moved, you think?
The Eagles.
Biggest, I think J.J. Watt. I mean, that's the biggest name I could think of that I think logically will get moved.
Roy.
Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, look at there. Just continue to make Pat Pryor taste his own tears. Sorry, Pat. We love you.
I'm going to speak it into existence. It's going to Pittsburgh.
Hey, it is what it is. So let's go ahead. I'm going to give these guys a real quick break to get a drink and do what needs to be done. I'm going to toss you to this commercial about this book that you may or may not have heard us talk about just a couple of times here in the past as Roy holds it up yet again. We will be right back right after this brief commercial break.
For over 100 years, the story has been written, ever-changing and growing with each new chapter. The soul remains, though the characters change. Bigger, faster, stronger, smarter.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
So too grows our fandom. Start miles ahead. Prospect Encyclopedia. September. Available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and Blitzalytics.com.
Welcome back to Football Happy Hour. If that commercial don't make you want to run through a wall, you are not alive, my friend. You are not alive. So, welcome back. We are going to go ahead, jump here into the third quarter, where we're going to talk a little bit about the most underappreciated players, both currently and historically here, because there have been a lot of them. There's still a lot of them, guys that just don't get the shine that they quite necessarily deserve. So, Jack, I guess I'll let you start, even though I don't like where this is headed. Go ahead, sir.
What? What don't you like about it?
You know what I don't like, man. I've been on this.
Derek Carr has been balling out this year, and none of you guys have given any of his credit where credit's due.
Exactly.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
I'll just leave it at that. He's
Look, I'm fine with
one of the best quarterbacks. He's got the third best QBR. I mean, he's hitting his receivers. He's throwing deep passes. They're winning games. They just beat KC, where he balled out and threw for, over 300 yards, which he rarely did. But just saying, he's looking like a really good quarterback this year. I don't think he'll ever be a great quarterback, but he's really underappreciated.
His ceiling is peak Andy Dalton.
It's not saying much, but it's the truth.
Ouch.
I'm sorry.
And the Colts would win more games if they had Derek Carr.
Hey, guys, what?
You'd still get to the first round of the playoffs and be knocked out.
Last I checked, the Colts are 4-2, and the Raiders are 3-3. Weird.
Oh, I love it.
Still better quarterback. Better quarterback.
He can play in the Pro Bowl.
Oh, I love it.
He can have fun barely missing the playoffs when he comes back down to earth halfway through the year. I'm just saying, I have a diehard Raiders fan that was literally in a text thread today saying, yeah, I cannot wait till we move on from Derek Carr. So even with this year, they're over him.
Oh, I heard one say the same thing yesterday, and I'm like, he's having his best statistical year ever.
My friend said, I'm seeing what this Justin Herbert kid is and Joe Burrow, and there's Derek Carr's never going to be that type of quarterback and take us to a Super Bowl.
He's just not exciting is what it is, man. It's like super vanilla, like when the Spurs were winning. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay, but I'd rather watch Dancing with the Stars.
And the NFL is just going
there's way too much arc on that throw. Way too much arc.
Too much air underneath it. Too much air. It's too high. Cody, throw me out a name for you, man.
This is going to be honestly rough for me, guys, because I don't know why this script's moving slow for me. So, underappreciated. Let's just take a really random name that just hit my brain. Randall Cunningham.
That's no lie, dude. If you are a fan of Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, dude, yes. Randall Cunningham was the OG and may have been better at it than any of them. Dude could throw it like 60 off his back foot while running.
I think he was my honorable mention when we did the pick 6 all-time quarterbacks when I joined you guys. He maybe cracked my top 6. Ooh. I just remember him when he was with the Eagles, the Vikings, when I was just a young cat, in the 90s. So I'm like, 8 years old, and he was like one of my anytime. It's not like today where you can just find a game online. And just watch anything. Like if you got it, you got whatever your local broadcast was. So like anytime he was on TV, especially because at that time I was born in South Dakota, grew up in Wisconsin. So like we would get the Vikings games. So like anytime he was with the Vikings, I just loved watching him play, be able to run around, toss it up. Like you said, he was the original. I won't say original because there's Doug Williams, guys past my age, that were mobile quarterbacks.
Brian
but to me, yeah, exactly. But to me, he was like my first, this guy's a mobile quarterback. And, I'm not trying to go back on the Derek Carr statement, but it's kind of crazy because this is what the league is becoming now is these mobile quarterbacks. And you can't have that statue behind there unless you do have a solid line like Las Vegas does. which is something I am now learning from my Josh Rosen evaluation, that you can't have a standing still quarterback in today's league. You can point back to Randall Cunningham and the offensive minds that have now developed their offensive schemes for mobile quarterbacks is the way to go. So I just try to translate that from a 90s player that doesn't get talked about much to today's league.
Dude, you guys are going to have to bring some fire names because Cunningham is a legit, like, if you guys haven't seen Cunningham highlights, please do yourself a favor. The man is a beast. So, Countryman, I come to you to follow that up.
So I'm going to take a stab at another quarterback, and I know he was named a co-MVP at one point, but he's one of the quietest guys when you talk about some of the best performers in big moments. Steve Air McNair. This dude, we're talking about, guys getting pummeled like Joe. This guy never had basically an offensive line in front of him consistently. True. He was an outstanding running quarterback. He was like the original Cam Newton.
Dude, he was so good. He made Mr. 8-8 get a team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Steve Air McNair, everybody sleeps on him and how he was able to just elevate the play of the people around him. Steve Air McNair.
It's because I think with that one, it's because they were so good that year that the Rams beat them in the Super Bowl, but that window was so small. Specifically because of Fisher. I think it's Fisher's fault you don't remember Steve McNair as much because he ran Eddie and him into the ground in a short period of time.
That was such a fun team to watch. Him, Eddie George, Kevin Dyson. There were some good guys. I mean,
Frank Wycheck.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking of. Wycheck. I mean, they had some guys. They had what? And then they had Curse on the other side of the ball at that point.
I mean, that was one of our rivals. Obviously I'm a Colts fan, so him and Peyton going at it, and I know for a fact he was in my top 6 list when we did the Pick 6 episode on all-time quarterbacks. Yeah, he's a guy he would go toe to toe with Peyton in each game, and it was a difficult outing.
It was.
He's another.
And his story is insane. The last good Sports Illustrated story I remember reading was the story of Steve McNair and his death. It's insane. If you guys can find that, that's a great article as well. So yeah, Steve McNair, also a great name. Jack, I'm going to come back to you here.
If we're going to go start talking about legends, the great Deacon Jones, the man who coined the term sack.
Yes, sir.
Is third all time. This is also, he was at a time before they recorded sacks. So these are unofficial, officially, he should have the single season sack record with 26. They also played less games back then in a single season, so take that into consideration. He averaged 2 sacks a game that season. He has 173.5, which is third all time. And if you guys have never seen Deacon Jones play, he literally used to take his big, giant pitcher's mitt of a hand and just
slap the dog out of you, bro.
Across the head. And then literally to the point where they had to make it illegal, and it's the Deacon rule in the NFL that you can't just basically swing on somebody even if they have their helmet on and it's an open hand.
Bro, I wonder how many concussions he's responsible for. Just that slap alone probably responsible for 200 concussions, bro. He was an absolute man amongst boys. What you see Aaron Donald do now, bro, Deacon did that 2-3 times every game. I
think Deacon's one of those few athletes that even for back then, I think his game would have translated and he would still have been a pro today, where you can't say that for a lot of the NFL greats. They wouldn't have lasted in today's NFL.
No, Deacon was athletic, especially comparatively.
He was I think Deacon was 6'7". He was the first of his kind for big, lengthy, athletic defensive end.
One of those Shaquille O'Neal types where he was so big that his body fat was so low it would stun you. It's insane how athletic he was. So no, great. And anytime you pander to me with a Rams name, you win. So, Cody, another guy you want to talk about at all?
Yeah, I was about to go on a long rant about Marvin Harrison, but I'm not going to do it. I'm trying. I'm not. I don't know why, guys. Some two Dolphins defenders from the 2000s just hit my brain. We're getting some things that are just flowing through the connectivity right now. I maybe drank a Bang energy drink right before we went live, so maybe that's why I'm full of energy
Bang.
in this episode. But yeah, Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor on that those 2000 Dolphins team. Because for those that are younger, if you're watching or listening to this, those Dolphins teams in the 2000s were nothing to mess around with, and that was before what? When did Houston join the league? I want to say 2002, if my memory serves me right. Was it 2001? So the Colts used to be in the same division as the Dolphins. So like when they had Jay Fiedler at quarterback, I remember all these games, especially because the Dolphins I think knocked out Peyton in his first playoff appearance. I used to hate the Dolphins with a passion. And those two used to wreak havoc on the Colts. Jason Taylor coming off the edge, and then Zach Thomas was just an animal all over the field making tackles. I don't know why, but those two names hit my brain right before you asked me
Zach
that,
Thomas
Rob.
is forgotten way too often in conversation. I will preach that for sure. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to steal one here because then I get to hear Roy talk about it too. Cordell Stewart, man. Cordell Stewart is everything that they're trying to convince you that Taysom Hill is. Cordell really was that guy. Slash could get it done. It didn't matter. Receiver, quarterback, returning. I'm pretty sure he was the greatest team water boy, folded the laundry finer than anyone. Slash did everything for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The best man to ever kiss Bill Cowher.
You're damn right he is. So, yeah, again, same thing here. Check the old tape. This guy is a trendsetter. So Roy, after I pander to you a little bit, after Jack did it to me, we'll just pass this around. Your turn.
Hey, and fun fact, I met Cordell Stewart at a football camp and actually made the local news station because I caught a pass off of him. Boom. So
Booyah.
made that happen. It's the Roy Kunchman top 10 specialist somewhere in Channel 10 News anywhere. But Cordell
How's it
Stewart,
feel? You're in the top 50 receivers from Cordell Stewart, though. I'm just saying.
It's not a big list, but we'll see. But that dude, if he was able to just play receiver, he could have been a Pro Bowl receiver. He would have had a career like Hines Ward. I'm telling you, that dude's athleticism was ridiculous. He just was not a quarterback. That was the dark years before we had another franchise QB.
Still made it fun.
It was fun. It was definitely fun years. But Cordell Stewart, I love that blast from the past. Let's see. Do you want me to do a current or a historic one here, Rob?
We're on this old train. We're teaching these young bucks something
new
here.
Well, let's roll in the old school here. And it was a guy that used to always kill my Steelers. And I know Cody could probably attest to him too. Fred Taylor. This dude, he just consistent after consistent. He ran hard every game. He was like a one cut. He could shake you in the open field. He was a good pass catcher. He's 17th all time in rushing yards. And I don't even think many people know he's in the top 20. So this guy was he was consistent on bad teams in Jacksonville. Outside the 2 seasons, they wiped out my Steelers in the playoffs. Fred Taylor you knew it was a double chin strap game whenever you were going up against him.
Fred Taylor felt like he ran with all heart. All heart was Fred Taylor, and didn't make waves, didn't talk. I don't know what Fred Taylor's voice freaking sounds like. So you gotta love a guy
someone
like that.
named Fred.
Yeah, right.
He's
Fred. You run like your name is Fred, bro. Superfan Jay's in the chat with a name that I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna need Roy's help trying to figure out what's a Rocky Bleer.
You don't know who Rocky Blyer is,
bro? I'm like Jerry Rice and forward for old Rob here.
Rocky Blyer was one of the key running backs in the 70s. He actually went to Vietnam, was a war hero, and he was the blocking backs and fullbacks for Franco Harris in the 70s for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Great all-around back, Jay. Good choice there. If you guys have yet to see Rocky Blyer, go back and watch some highlights of him. Great all-around back, kind of like a third down type of a John Kuhn type player. But his story from coming back from Vietnam was outstanding. He was actually awarded a Purple Heart. They did a 30 for 30 special on him. Excellent player from the 70s. Not a lot of people know about.
Well, good name, Jay. You stumped me, but not the Schwab. Let's go around, and we did pay homage or homage or whatever, however they're saying it these days, to the old heads there. And I'm going to give you a new name, and I want everybody to circle around and give me a current guy, okay? So we can give some shine there. I'm going to throw out Bobby Trees. Robert Woods for me is an underrated receiver for the Rams. I love what he brings every single week, so I'm going to use my time, and I'm going to say Bobby Trees. Jack, give me a current guy that's getting slept on.
Levante David, since entering the league, first in solo tackles, tackle for losses, fumbles, fumble recoveries, second in interceptions, third in combined tackles, third in touchdowns, fourth in passes defense, fifth in sacks amongst stand-up linebackers.
Jack brought the numbers with his case. Case over. It took 10 seconds. Mayo, give me a name of a current guy getting slept on.
Current guy, man. I just say an old school name. Hit me. Because I am focused on this right now. How about Darrell Green, the fastest man ever to play cornerback in the league for the Washington football team back in the 90s? And I'm sorry, I just couldn't get out of this stat when I looked up his name. When he was turned 50 back in 2010, that guy ran a 4.43. I can't get it off my brain. I had to say that really quick. Yeah, it's.
The rest of his counterparts out here in Walker's, he's got speed wheels on, bro.
If I am doing a current player, maybe a safety, Harrison Smith. I feel like he's always. Oh, is that who you're about to say? Yeah, he's always producing. He doesn't never really get much credit. It feels like if you would mention his name to the casual football fan, they would not know who you're talking about.
Yeah, they would think that was somebody at the local Genius bar fixing their eyes.
You realize you erased everything. I was just thinking, while I spelled myself time with the Darrell Green story.
You are perfectly fine. I'm just going to say this, and we're not going to appreciate this guy until he retires. Larry Legend. I know he's 11-time Pro Bowler, but this is literally our incarnation of Jerry Rice. That's how consistent this guy is. He could play till he's 50. I'm convinced of it.
I'm pretty sure that guy just sweats glue. He just sweats glue because everything sticks to him. So, no, absolutely. Fitzy is a guy I'm always going to love, even as a division rival. So, let's get it on. Let's talk a little bit about in the next quarter here. We are going to move into quarter number 4. We're going to do like we have been doing, and we're going to feature some players out of the Blitzalytics Prospect Encyclopedia, both in offensive and defensive players of the week. And I don't believe I've started with you yet, Roy, in any segment, as you see Jack presenting that beautiful, beautiful book there. Roy, why don't we start with you then for who you'd like to highlight out of the encyclopedia?
So for my guy is a guy that I really was keen on through the draft process. He was a part of my top 5 tight end series, like whenever we all did our draft series here. Outstanding player, especially as a pass catcher, and he got some opportunities this week with Austin Hooper being out. It's none other than number 6 on the Cleveland Brown list, presented by Jacob Patterson. He had 4 catches on 5 targets. He had 56 yards and 2 touchdowns, 35-yard long reception. Harrison Bryant from Florida Atlantic. He's the new age tight end. He's not very heavy on the bottom half and blocking. If you use him in line, he's going to get abused. But if you put him in space, he's a mismatch on linebackers. He's too fast, and he's too big for safeties. So Harrison Bryant is definitely somebody you want to be targeting for these 2 tight end looks, because David Njoku already lost his spot to him when he was healthy. He's putting in the work there.
Exactly. Why is Njoku not traded yet? Then let's circle back around to you, Jack. Give me a name you want to highlight out of that beautiful book there.
Mr. Jeff Wilson. San Francisco 49er running back who is heading to IR. Went 17 for 112 and 3 touchdowns. And let me read to you my nice little insert here in the book so you better understand how accurate this damn book is. Wilson is an explosive change of pace runner and contributor to the Niners backfield. He is a solid number 3 or number 4 running back on the depth chart who contribute as a third down back in passing situations and in between the tackles, or as well as in between the tackles. Wilson has big performances and impactful plays every time his name has been called upon, and he's a special teams ace with a long-term league potential due to his versatility. every time this man's name has been called, he has had big games. Last year, I think he had another 2 or 3 touchdown game. Anytime he has been forced to play, it has turned out to be an outstanding performance. Just give the man the ball and let him do his thing. Sadly, got hurt again, so now it is JaMychal Hasty time. So I will come back and read my insert for JaMychal Hasty next week after they run all over whoever it is they're about to run all over.
Jack like Babe Ruth calling his shot for next week's player of the week.
You wait.
Mayo, give me a name, my man.
Yeah, so my guy is Antonio Gibson. He's a bit, Roy knows I've been on him since day one, since I did his scouting report for the Senior Bowl profile that we did. And then I also did his report on our website as well. And he's already like exceeding my expectations. I thought he would be more of a change of pace, offensive weapon, maybe some packages here and there, more as a returner as a rookie. But obviously, Ron Rivera and not Noah Turner, but Scott Turner.
Turner.
Their offensive coordinator. Obviously, saw a lot of him in the preseason where they cut bait with AP, and they basically, he's been splitting reps with J.D. McKissick, sometimes Peyton Barber, but he obviously looks like the clear-cut, more talented running back. This past game, he had 20 rushes for 128 yards and a touchdown. He was a number 6 prospect by David Connors. I'm just excited to see him grow, and every time I turn on the football team's game for every week, he's always making at least a few explosive plays, but then he kind of ran all over the Cowboys defense, which isn't hard to do. But I will say this: speaking of calling your own shots, for last episode of Cody Talks NFL, I did say I had an itchy feeling this is going to be Antonio Gibson's breakout game, and it happened. So
it did happen.
I will second that.
This is why you guys got to keep on coming back for the Blitz Breakdown, the Football Happy Hour, the Fantasy Voyage, the Steel City Sermon. We're out here just telling you guys what's about to happen. So,
keeping you in winning formation for fantasy, especially. Now, Gibby looks good every time I watch WFT, which, by the way, I always see in my brain as WTF.
Yeah.
But every time I watch them, he's the guy that just my eye is drawn to him, man. Like he feels like you just have to watch him. I love Gibby. So, let's see, whose turn is it? It's you, Countryman, right?
Yes, sir. You want me to go honorable mention for offense, or you want my defensive guy?
Whatever you feel, man. We're free flowing here, bro.
Our offense, I got to throw out Chase Edmonds because we seen what happened to Kenyon Drake. He went down with an ankle injury, partially torn ligament or something in his ankle. He's going to be out a few weeks. Chase Edmonds, he's explosive back. He's got some good contact balance, great receiving threat in that wide, 5 receiver set out in Arizona. He meshes well with those concepts. He averaged over 11.5 yards per carry, and he had 7 receptions for also over 12 yards per catch. So dual action type threat there out of the backfield. Good speed, power, contact balance. He's an impressive back. He was number 4 on Jacob Patterson's Arizona Cardinals list here.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you're speaking fantasy language because fantasy community has been so just pissed off. Excuse the language at Kenyon Drake. I'm going to win your fantasy league. No, sir, you're not. But speedy recovery to you as well. Jack, I'll come to you for another name you'd like to feature.
If we're going to keep throwing out, we'll throw in another honorable mention. Got to talk about Tristan Wirfs after this past weekend. They basically put him one-on-one with Max Crosby out on an island, and he held his own. Minus maybe a few chips from the running back. He had no help from the interior. They trusted him, and from the inside move that's been corrected to hit the strength at the point of attack, I've been extremely impressed with Tristan Wirfs. I think me and Roy Countryman kind of got a little ahead of ourselves here. He's actually turned out to be a hell of a right tackle. It's not that we said he didn't, but we just talked more so about him being moved to the inside.
And they have themselves an excellent offensive line coach because he's way ahead of the curve. Whenever it was draft time, I will eat my plate of crow because he did have his technical flaws, and they fast-tracked him with advancing his technique to a point to where this is where you're getting now a perfect combination of his athleticism now with improved technique. you're seeing the inside move being shut down, which was his biggest weak point, which is what I thought he was going to have to be transitioned to guard. I will definitely eat that crow. That's what scouting's all about. Sometimes you get it wrong, and as of right now, it's looking like we were wrong, Jack, or me more so than you, because I was really buying that thing.
I mean, I said it. He was my least favorite out of all four of the left tackles. I mean, he still was my 4th ranked left tackle, and I think he was still inside my top 15. So it's not like we were really. I don't think either of us were really that hard on him, but we were nitpicking, and we were probably a little wrong to nitpick because, like you said, they did correct those flaws a lot faster than what we normally see. I mean, somebody spent some time with that footwork and his mechanics, and he looks like a hell of a right tackle. Like, we hit a home run with that pick.
Well, that's the difference in succeeding and not in the NFL, right? Having good coaches and being able to listen and to put that into action. So, Cody, I'll come to you for another name, my friend.
Are we switching to defense or no? What I'll do is I'll do an honorable mention really quick here because technically I guess you could say he's part of the offense because he's got to score some points. All my guys I picked off the top are all Senior Bowl guys. Beating off Gibson being a Senior Bowl guy, so I'm gonna go to the Senior Bowl kicker that I know me and Roy are loving his big boom leg that he showed off there in Mobile. But it's Tyler Bass. He won the game for the Bills by he was 4 for 6, so he wasn't perfect. But he made a 53-yarder, which was a season-long, 48, 46, 37, and a 29. I did the Bills section. He was a number 17 prospect for me in the encyclopedia. And what I loved about him, he was showing some swag there in the game. I don't know if you guys got a chance to kind of look in depth, but he had like a one. What's the little things that they put right there? The black stuff,
the charcoal, yeah.
He only had one. I think it was on one on that eye, and I think because of his misses earlier, I think the Jets sideline was giving him crap because go watch when he makes that one to put them up by 8 in the 4th quarter. He just looks at the sideline and just jaws something at him, and one of the bigger linemen had to grab him, like, "Yo, you're just a kicker. Calm down, bro."
Oh man, for the brand, bro. Countryman, throw a name out there at me, man.
So this is a guy that was slowed a lot throughout training camp, and it's the Packers linebacker Kamal Martin. He went from, in I believe, the 5th round from Minnesota. Very athletic guy, and he is a super aggressive tackler. He brings the wood whenever he comes and breaks down in space. He only played, I believe it was like 29 snaps. This dude made 6 tackles. All of them were solo, a tackle for loss. A lot of the other 5 tackles were actually either right at the line of scrimmage or only a yard after. He's a high-quality talent that they got late. It's probably more of a two-down run thumper. He has the communication skills and the intelligence to play on 3rds down. He kind of reminds me of Vince Williams of the Steelers, where he might not have the great athleticism. It's very good at that point. He just doesn't have, the movement skills of a Jeremy Chin or some of those other type guys. Isaiah Simmons even say we can throw him out with the interception. He just doesn't have that type of movement ability. But what he does well, and he showed up in a lot of spaces for the Packers this past week. So he'll probably see more playing time coming forward. He was the number 11 player for Ryan Lippert's Green Bay Packer list.
Look at just raining information on your heads. I think Jack and Cody, you both have one guy left, right?
Yeah.
Hit me with it, Jack.
To the wrap, interception, pass defense, 7 tackles, all over the field on Monday night against the Chicago Bears. Played outstanding, has filled in very well at safety. Not filled in, but his fit his role at safety for the Rams. Somebody we were high on from the start, with blitz, and he's really starting to pan out. He's kind of like another linebacker out there when he needs to be, and they could use it. They are lacking of linebacker talent. Micah Kaiser played pretty well, had another, I think, 7 or 8 tackles. And for him finally getting on the field, he's played well, but Taylor Rapp has been kind of the difference maker on the back end for the Rams.
Jack, I'm telling you, you're trying to earn that gold star today talking all this Ram stuff, man. I love it. Mayo, hit me with this last name.
So yeah, this might be a name nobody's really heard of. It's Dane Jackson for the Bills. He again another Senior Bowl guy that impressed me. I know me and I think Roy and maybe even Jack
Yeah.
was loving his feistiness in when he in Mobile and on the film as well. He's I think a 4-year starter at Pittsburgh, if my memory serves me right. But yeah, he's been on the practice squad the first 3 weeks, and I was very surprised. Because Josh Norman, obviously we saw what's his name, Derrick Henry did to him, but he was out this game. They've been using Cam Lewis, but I had Cam Lewis as a number 22 prospect. I viewed him more as a practice squad guy, and they finally called him up because I think Norman was ruled out. The Alabama cornerback that plays for them, he's on IR now. But yeah, so he I think earned a spot on the 53-man roster. He got the interception in the second half. He had 2 pass deflections and 3 solo tackles. He was a number 18 prospect for me. And I think he's a guy that should be in that lineup going forward.
I am not mad at when those 16, 17, 18 guys show up. That's my favorite, man. I love it. We got just over a minute 40 here. So what I want to do to wrap this up, there's 2 names from this past draft that I think are going to be inextricably linked together for their entire careers. Both number 1 prospects for their team, both quarterbacks. I want to know where you stand in the great Burrow-Herbert debate and who's looked better, because when we started filling out our awards, our halfway point awards right now, Offensive Rookie of the Year was between those guys for me. So I want to go around the horn. I'm a Burrow guy, but I want to hear what you have to say. Jack, I'll start with you.
Oh, I think I don't know. I think it's got to be Herbert right now. Herbert has looked outstanding. Again, something I didn't really expect. He does have a ton of talent around him, a ton of pass catchers. But I played Herbert this last weekend in fantasy. I didn't play Burrow, and it panned out big time.
I get, yeah, they're close, man. They both look great. I think both teams got one. Mayo, Herbert or Burrow?
Yeah, it is really so hard to pick because, I mean, Burrow does have more yards, but then again, Burrow, I think, has 2 more starts than Herbert, and Herbert it has more, not only more passing touchdowns than him, but he also has one on the ground that he got this past week. So he's putting up the touchdowns. He has more wins technically right now. That it's either going to come down to who hits the wall first and maybe kind of slows down as we progress through the season. It's hard for me to pick right now. I know I haven't done our votes. I'm actually going to wait till after this week, do my votes on Monday. I lean towards Herbert just because he has more touchdowns. He has a win, and I can just see them maybe getting a string of wins over the Bengals. But it's a toss-up for me. I wouldn't be upset with either. I love Burrow.
Absolutely.
I love Burrow. But I'm just so impressed with how Herbert, I mean, I'm not the only one that's like, low on him.
Dude, I'm telling you, somewhere every time Herbert throws a beautiful ball, John Elway just salivates because that's exactly the body type he's always wanted for a quarterback, and this is just what he's wanted. So, Roy, I come to you, Herbert or Burrow?
I do have to admit, Justin Herbert is making us not only us, but a lot of other people really question what we were seeing. I think a lot of it was what they were asking him to do in that Oregon scheme, and they're using him the right way out in Los Angeles. But if you made me pick between each one I'd want to build my system around, it's Joe Burrow. I think he's doing more with less. Like you guys said, there's more talent on that Los Angeles Charger offense around him completely than there is in Cincinnati, especially an offensive line front. I think the Chargers have a little bit more talent going up there. I love the moxie that Joe Burrow has. Like he's making Cincinnati games enjoyable to watch, and at most times people are tuning out at this point. So Joe Burrow for me is the guy I would take.
Yeah, I think Cody said it best, right? And it's in my gut. I feel Herbert hits the wall before Burrow does. But it's right now it's splitting hairs. They both look amazing. They both look like franchise quarterbacks. So let's move it on into the overtime period where we're going to do one of my all-time favorite things and talk about our favorite all-time rosters and just kind of draft this thing out here. I guess we were going to draft, but we kind of just filled out rosters and we're gentlemen about it. So let's just break it down by position. And what we'll do is I'll start with quarterback here and I'll say, Jack, if you're going to draft an all-time team on offense, you get one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, and then the enviable flex position. Who's going to be your quarterback on that team?
That was the hardest question for me. I kind of knew the wide receivers. I knew the tight end right off the spot, but I did not know a quarterback. I kept going back and forth between Peyton, between Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes could even get thrown in there. There's so many players. But for me, I think Patrick Mahomes is a little too early for him to get this kind of all-time great spot just yet. So I think from a talent standpoint, some of the most talented seasons I've ever seen and even postseason performances have come from Aaron Rodgers, as much as it pains me to say. So Aaron Rodgers would be the one that I would have throwing the ball if it's one playoff stretch, if it's one season. I think if it's one season. If it's one playoff run, I think I'd probably go Tom Brady. But we never really specified on how this went. So if it was just for a playoff stretch, I'm probably saying Brady. If it's for a whole season, I'm probably saying Rodgers.
This is for the whole ball in my mind, bro. We're playing balls out for 40 years. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Mayo, I think we kind of all knew who you were going to take here, and we graciously left him for you. So go ahead and tell the fans who don't know you intimately as we do who we already knew you were going to pick.
Yeah, it's going to be Peyton since you guys didn't take him before I hopped on and started adding my picks. Peyton, you guys already know, big fan of him. I always say you could argue that Peyton Manning was the reason why the NFL has shifted to a passing offense. He was his own offensive coordinator. I could go on for stats for days, Only quarterback to take 4 different head coaches to the Super Bowl. And I don't care what Brady haters say. When it comes down to the postseason, you can argue the Super Bowls, but when they met up in the playoffs, Peyton was 4-3 against Tom Brady in postseason matchups.
I love it when Cody gets animated. That's my favorite. Like when the Raiders took Arnett and he lost his damn mind. Like I loved it. So everyone knew it was going to be Peyton. And again, my favorite part about Peyton was how like after the game he'd be like, "Well, remember in the second quarter when that guy came off the edge and my running back he dipped a little to the left." The dude remembers everything. It's just so impressive. So, Roy, again. We're continuing on the no surprise train here at quarterback for you, and then I'll spoiler alert me too. But hit us with yours.
Yeah, so at quarterback, who would I take to be under center? Big Ben. Whether we're going late career Big Ben, where he's getting the ball out quick, or we're going young career Ben, where he's playing backyard football against a bunch of 10 and 12-year-olds, like just trying to fall at his feet. This guy makes plays. He throws the ball downfield. He's accurate. He's just the alpha. I like Big Ben. It's just always something about him. He keeps the play alive. He makes it fun. Sometimes he makes you frustrated because he throws into like quadruple coverage, But oh well. Yeah, we're just gonna play. We're gonna play to win the game. We're gonna as we talk, like Mike Tomlin. We're gonna not live in our fears. So
that boy thick. A thick quarterback.
That's right. I like my quarterbacks I like my physique, so nice and thick.
I like my quarterbacks I like my peanut butter, chunky.
At what point in his career did he not throw all those costly turnovers and interceptions though that you spoke of?
Yeah. How many rings does he have?
Oh.
How many rings does your boy have, Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, look at
here we go. We're going there. I was like, because you're talking about your boy Big Ben. If we're going that debate, then I'm talking about my boy Tom Brady on my Bucks.
Are you
defending segment? Or are you defending team?
No. Who's your quarterback of your team right now? Hey, not your life.
You left the opportunity there. Who did Aaron Rodgers beat for his Super Bowl?
That's fine.
There you go.
That was against our defense.
There you go.
If we would have had one more possession, we would have beaten them.
Well,
Aaron Rodgers is the most overrated quarterback of the last 20 years. I'm telling you.
Man,
I took the only guy who's going to win you a Super Bowl and correctly put your groceries in the bag. I took Kurt Warner. No surprise there if you guys know me. But the damn hat says it, LA all the way, baby. I'm a Rams guy, always will be. Kurt Warner to me, when they were on their up and up, when they were the best, there was nothing more fun than watching him chuck it to Torrey and Ike and Azahir Hakim. Those were my guys. I will always be a Kurt Warner stan. Not to mention our first giant interview at Blitzalytics was Kurt Warner, so we are always Kurt Warner fans here at Blitzalytics. Jack, I'm going to come back to you. You so graciously let me have my running back, but seem to replace him with somebody just fine here. So who's your stud running back, man?
You threatened to fist fight me in the
I did. I
parking
told
lot.
you I'd walk down to Florida and fight you for him.
I graciously went. So for me, I will say this, that I do think that Marshall Faulk is the greatest offensive weapon of all time. I'm not saying he's the greatest running back. I am saying he's the greatest offensive weapon. He's the most versatile running back. He's the most versatile offensive weapon I think that's ever stepped foot. So that would have been my pick, but because I got yelled at, somebody's sensitive and shit. I went LaDainian. I let everybody else pick the running backs, and then I went LaDainian Tomlinson, which I'm okay with. Poor me to have a running back that's put up, that has the record for touchdowns.
Undisputable king of fantasy football, by the way. If you have any other answer than LaDainian Tomlinson is who's the greatest fantasy player of all time, your answer's wrong. I'm sorry. As much as I love Falk, Tomlinson is the king of fantasy football.
So, yeah, he shows up 5 times on that top 100 list of most productive seasons by a running back. 5 times. He has 5 of the top 100.
And you know what the best part is, right?
5% of the greatest.
He looked better than anyone on that list because they got them baby blues. So he did all that in them baby blues. Yeah, buddy, with the hit him with it, Jack. I love it. No, LaDainian Tomlinson, solid answer. I'll give mine away. He already said most of it. Marshall Faulk, greatest offensive weapon in history. I loved it. Used to let his belt hang out. And I loved the only time I remember Marshall directly talking trash, somebody asked him why he lets his belt hang out, and he said so the defenders had a chance to catch him. Greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Marshall Faulk is my running back. So now, Cody, I'm going to come to you. Who's your running back?
I'm going to my favorite running back of all time. I was surprised you guys didn't take him, but you guys got some good choices. But Adrian Peterson, you're talking about he won MVP, right? I'm not stupid. Yeah, the year he won.
His 2,000-yard season, he won MVP.
He should have broke the record, but he barely missed it. I think they were holding him back at the end of the season because they were getting to the playoffs, and he was legit carried a quarterback called Christian Ponder.
Christian Ponder, oh my God.
Yeah, and just how he runs, and from going back all the way to Oklahoma to his Vikings career, and then the fact that he's still defying the odds, and he's somehow making rosters and taking over young spots. I know DeAndre Swift is kind of taking more snaps as we progress through the season, but the fact that he joined the Lions, 4 days before the season, and he basically looked at Kerryon Johnson and DeAndre Swift like Debo and said, "No, I'm taking these touches." I would not be surprised if he just attaches to a team every year as a rotational back, and as long as he stays healthy, I would not be surprised if he you know what he's going for. He's going to be on top of that all-time rushing yards list if he can stay healthy. But obviously he's 35, I think, at this point, so it is stretching it, but I can see him doing it because he's a freak. I think he got those 2,000 yards too. I think he tore the ACL.
Yeah.
The previous year.
That's so impressive what he did coming back from injury. Like, I've never seen anybody have a better year after an injury than that. So I love your pick here, Countryman, because I just feel like it's a running back factory out here for the Rams.
So we were talking about underrated stars. Steven Jackson running on the Rams all them years with not a lot of talent around him. Sorry, Rob, but
you're right.
This dude was a two-faced star. Not only did he run like his hair was on fire and run through blocks, into blocks, out of blocks, and through defenders all at the same time, plus his ability to pass catch out of the backfield. Steven Jackson, that guy was a grown man. He's like, 6'2"? I mean, he was a great big back. Yeah, he's 6'2", 240. We talk about Derrick Henry. This is like Derrick Henry with pass catching ability.
Yeah, underrated because, again, we had 8-8 head coach at the time. So Jackass. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I absolutely mega lol hate that guy. Let's move on to the wide receiver position. We've got some great names, some divas on the list I see here. And I just noticed that I took Royce, so I'll be changing mine. But Jack, we'll start with you at wide receiver.
For my first of two wide receivers, I went Randy Moss. Greatest season by a wide receiver of all time. With the his touchdowns with Tom and his connection with Tom Brady that year. I forget what year that actually was, but yeah. I mean, how could you not go with the freak? Like, he was, to me, he's the most talented wide receiver of all time. I don't even think it's even close. If he would have been fully committed to some of his teams, like, who knows what he could have done. But who knows what could have happened if he would have had multiple years with Brady, or more years with Brady. So Randy Moss, all day, every day. There's no other. If you're asking one wide receiver, no questions asked. It's Randy Moss every time.
Man, I loved Randy. I liked football, right? And then I went and I saw Randy his rookie year play on the turf in St. Louis against my Rams, and I'd never seen a guy who looked faster in my life. And from that day forward, I was just all in on football. Randy Moss, thank you so much, sir. Mayo, I come to you for your wide receiver.
Yeah, and I'll keep it quick because I see we're kind of spent a lot of time.
Time is just a myth, just like the Caps.
Right. But yeah, I mentioned his name earlier, Marvin Harrison. I mean, if I'm going to pick Peyton, why would I not pick the wide receiver that he had chemistry with? And it might have helped that you guys picked my boy Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson. But they're the most touchdowns for a quarterback wide receiver duo. I can go on and on about his consecutive seasons, most receptions in the season before Michael Thomas broke it. But why would I disrupt that chemistry with a top 5 wide receiver in NFL history, in my opinion?
Plus, he's all steak, no sizzle, right? So, gotta love a guy who just comes to work. Lunch pail guy right there.
Just in the alley of Philadelphia.
Wow. Roy, hit me with your wide receiver, because this is the guy I really wanted on my squad.
Yeah, there's only one guy. I know Randy Moss, when you're talking about greatest receivers of all time, at least athletically, Randy Moss, there's only one guy I think could trump him, and that's Megatron. Guys like that just should not be able to run the way he is. And literally, he could be triple covered, and they would still throw the ball, and he'd come down with it. And he only played till he's 30 years old, and he brought down, I believe it was 83. I think it's 83 touchdowns. Yeah, in 10 years. So this dude, if he was able to play into his mid-30s, which we know in Detroit, he got busted up a lot.
Didn't he have 2,000 yards in that 0-16 campaign too?
He had 1964. That was his highest in one season.
Yeah, and they didn't win a game,
ridiculous.
dude. Detroit did him no favors, man. I love that guy. I still think he could get it done. I still think he could play in the league right now. I replaced Calvin Johnson, and I'll take it here. T.O. was still on the board, so I'll just say I love anybody who pisses off Cowboys fans, and the single greatest moment of my life was when he shoved that ball down the middle of your star, you Cowboys dirds. So T.O. makes the list just on that alone. We are going to go to you now, Jack, for your tight end position.
Tight end, because I filled mine out first, so I basically got to kind of cheat. I took Rob Gronk. I mean, obviously, it's, again, best tight end of all time. At least the most dangerous tight end of all time. I don't know if there's some other guys you could throw in there that would have had similar performances, but Gronkowski, to me, is the greatest tight end of all time.
I think you could make an argument definitely for 1A, 1B with my guy. I'll go ahead and throw him out there. The only retired gentleman on this list, so I think we are seeing a tight end renaissance here, if I'm being honest. But I took Tony Gonzalez. The only guy I think you have an argument with about Rob Gronkowski is right there. So I'll be quick with it and end it on that. If you don't know Tony Gonzalez, you're missing out. So Cody, tight end.
Yeah, so you guys definitely picked the tight ends I would want. So I just kind of went who probably is going to end maybe a top 5 tight end in NFL history is Travis Kelce. I'm picturing he's a souped up version of Dallas Clark and imagining him with Peyton. I could see them doing what they're doing with Patrick Mahomes and just connecting on a lot of touchdowns and yards.
Yeah, they really like each other. So not a bad pick. And to you, Countryman, your tight end.
Yeah, this guy, by the time he's done with his career, I think is going to be mentioned with the other three gentlemen you guys were talked about. George Kittle, he plays the game the right way. I like guys that are feisty. He's not only feisty after the catch, but it's also in his blocking. That's what I like about my tight ends. George Kittle, man, he does everything well.
He's a manimal. We did fly through tight end because I have a feeling that we could get talkative here with some of these flex position guys. So even though the quarter's ending, we are going to go ahead and give you those flex position guys. And if you're noticing a name didn't make it in the wide receiver selection, it's because Jack ended up with him right here. So Jack, break it down, man.
Yeah, the GOAT, Jerry Rice, of course. Like, there's no way he's not going to be on my team. One of the greatest route runners, some of the most reliable hands, longevity, legend, GOAT status. I mean, why would you not take Jerry Rice? Jerry Rice on the same team with Randy Moss is just outstanding. So,
that's an unstoppable passing game. Aaron Rodgers throwing to Jerry Ross and Randy Moss. Yeah, that ought to be fun. Mayo, I like your name here.
Yeah, so I'm going with, I guess, today's version of Marshall Faulk, who, depending on how his career goes, Robbie, he might push for the greatest offensive weapon in NFL history. I'm just picturing him and AP in the backfield at the same time. You can slide him out in the slot, and you can just use him as a weapon with this team that I have right now.
Yeah. Again, McCaffrey. I mean, it's the closest I've seen to Falk, man. I'll be 100% honest with you. So I'm not even mad at that take. But Roy, hit me with your flex, because this is a guy that almost made my wide receiver.
Yeah, so I was thinking you guys were saying Big Ben forcing passes. If I got him throwing down the field to Calvin Johnson, we're going to tag team him up with Larry Fitz. There's not going to be many passes in that catching radius. We can't overthrow either of them.
Plus, them two big, tall receivers, man. They got some length. Got length for sure. I'll finish this up. I went old school here. One of the most fun guys I've ever watched play football, Barry Sanders. That stop and go was just a thing of beauty. I've never seen anybody put the brakes on after full speed like Barry did. Like, he just stop on a dime and go the complete other direction. So what a graceful player to watch was Barry Sanders. So I'm going to recap these. We'll see who we thought the fans won. Maybe we'll put it out in a poll here. Jack, quarterback Aaron Rodgers, running back LaDainian Tomlinson, wide receiver Randy Moss, tight end Rob Gronkowski, flex Jerry Rice. What a hell of a squad you put together there, Jack. Mine, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Terrell Owens, Tony Gonzalez, and Barry Sanders. Chock full of Hall of Famers there as well. Cody, of course, has Peyton manning that position, followed behind with Adrian Peterson, Marvin Harrison, Travis Kelce, and CMC. So got some good youth and current guys there. And, of course, Roy hits you with Big Ben, Steven Jackson, Calvin Johnson, George Kittle, and Larry Fitzgerald. I think we all did great, but I'm not going to lie. In a one-up situation, I think Jack's team wins.
Yeah, he's got I was just looking at that. Got a pretty stacked team. Just surprised we didn't nobody choose the ultimate flex, Taysom Hill.
Yeah, oh man, what are we doing? Somewhere Sean Payton is just so angry at us for just missing the greatness of Taysom Hill.
All right, but tell me, don't lie. If you were a linebacker, how scared would you be to see Marshall Faulk and Barry Sanders lined up in the back at the same time? That is.
I quit.
New pair of underwear, please.
Bro.
Water boy.
My team's tearing some ACLs, bro. Like, just you're going the wrong way. Yeah, trust me.
ACL City for sure.
We're just taking all 11 linemen, all 11 players and lining them up at the goal line. That's it.
Absolutely.
Jake's saying he's surprised Roy didn't pick Hines Ward.
Ooh.
Hines Ward is nice, but if I can have Calvin Johnson and Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like choosing a steak over like a.
We're talking about a pure running offense, okay.
Where were they drafted? Were they both number one picks, right? The last two non-quarterbacks, right? Or wide receivers to be picked number one, weren't they?
I think you're getting Hines Ward.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Fitz and Calvin Johnson were both number one picks.
No, Fitz wasn't.
He was 11.
Was he 11?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he was 11. I thought he was 1. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up, man. Another great episode. I absolutely love this show. I look forward to this every week. As Jay said, it's the best thing about a Tuesday. There's nothing else going on good about a Tuesday except for football happy hour. So we are going to go around the horn and say our goodbyes for the week. And Jack, again, I start with you, sir.
Blitzlytics.com/shop. Go get it today.
That's a Jack. Short and sweet. You can follow that man at Jack Bourgeois, JackBooshwa on Twitter. Man, a few words, and I love it. Mayo.
Yeah, thank everybody that tuned in tonight live. Of course, if you did tune in live, please hit that like button. Please make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel so you do know when all of our shows go live. Me and Rob will be on the Fantasy Voyage tomorrow morning around 10 to 11 a.m. I'll be back on Friday, same time for the Cody Talks NFL show. But again, as I always say on all of our shows, if you just can't catch us live, if you don't have the ability to watch us on a video, maybe catch us later on our YouTube channel, make sure you do subscribe to our Blitzlytics podcast network. You can Google search us. We're on all major platforms from Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on it. And that way you get the audio versions of all of our podcasts. So, yeah, again, thanks for everybody tuning in. Enjoy doing this show. You can follow me at Cody Talks NFL if you want to talk some football.
And like you said, we've been saying, man, tell a friend. So, Countryman, I come to you, sir.
Hey, I'm glad to be back here with you fellas after a week off. Glad we're all able to jump back in here. Glad for everybody interacting here on the comment section. It's nice seeing some folks razzing us a little bit and seeing some return folks. So as Cody and them said, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. Make sure you turn on the alerts. That way, if any of our great shows at blitzlytics.com come to you, you can make sure you're getting your fill of it. I'll be back with the Steel City Sermon this Saturday. As I said before, I apologize. I was out with an illness this past week, but can't wait to talk some football, some undefeated Steelers talk. You can hit me up at Steel City Sermon for the show there. Also at Preacher Boy Roy on my personal Twitter if you want to roast me for any of my takes. I gladly do battle with you. And as always, stay humble and be a blessing.
Be a blessing, yes, sir. And I will take this opportunity. If you did turn into the Blitz Breakdown this morning, Jack said I may have some news. I actually did. I got hired. I'll be working for the Fully Loaded podcast with JC Cornell, obviously the founder of the Draft Network, and Paige D'Amicos. So that happened over the last couple days. So I want to thank all you three gentlemen here and the rest of the family at Blitz for helping me push me to that. And I want to thank JC personally for giving me a shot. You'll start seeing stuff come out real soon from me. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank these three gentlemen for spending yet another Tuesday night with me. You can follow me on Twitter at RobRobGraphics. And as always, thank you for tuning into Football Happy Hour presented by Blitzlytics.com. We look forward to talking to you next week.